Well, good morning. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Tahoe-Truckee Sunday morning live streaming service. We're here in the sanctuary. It's snowing outside. Our heater is coming only from our little oil heaters, and so it's an exciting morning. And we're having and Rod is being very persistent about providing the music this morning. So, but the great news is that you're here. Spirit is in the house. Life is good. And we're going to have a great morning. So thank you for joining us. My name is Reverend Pam Brandman. I'm the senior minister here at the center. And wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. You are in the right place. We know that there are many paths to God, but they all end in oneness and in love. And so we're grateful that you're here today. And we want to remind everyone that our center's purpose is love. And our vision is embracing all and serving with love while awakening to the one. If you would join me in our reading our receptivity statement that you'll see on the screen. I am here by divine appointment. Something I am about to hear applies to my life. I am open, receptive, and willing to explore the possibilities. So our musician this morning is Rod Loomis, and he is uh, He is a veteran of TV and film and being a practitioner and being a musician and Shakespeare theater. And we know in live theater that the unexpected can always happen. And so Rod, that has happened. We're not able to hear his music. And so he's going to be performing a cappella this morning because the show must go on. And so I'd like to welcome Rod Loomis for our beginning music.
Well, thank you. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Oh, God bless us. Okay, well, I get to practice my chops a cappella. Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer. Our thoughts are prayers, the tools that we create with. Our thoughts are prayers, that spirit resonates with. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of mindfulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer. And so it is.
Thank you, Rod. Every thought becomes a prayer. And that welcomes us to the time for our practitioner, Michael Brandman, to give us our opening reading and meditation. And like me, Michael was feeling this was a great week. The snow was good. The sun was out. He was spending several days admiring the beauty from the top and the slope of the mountain as he checked out North Star and Palisades both. And it's a wonderful day. The divine presence is there on the mountain, always waiting for us. And so the divine presence is here with us today, and I welcome Michael Brandman.
Thank you, Reverend Pam. All right. So today is a very important day. It's the day of our annual meeting a little later on. And but first we're going to have the talk by Reverend Pam, which today is the continuing CSL March theme of cultivating authenticity. And she'll be speaking today on boundaries build bridges. So my reading today is very much an introductory to that talk, which Reverend Pam will be going into a little bit more detail. And this is from the Science of Mind magazine, from Molly Kate Brown, who's one of the writers, and the title of her piece is called "Comfortable with Boundaries." So, authenticity is the vulnerability to be exactly who we are. It requires being attuned to the heart, to living our truth. It requires courage, because to be authentic means braving significant discomfort at times. And here's what she means. Let's say someone asks you to do something that you really don't want to do. Some would have no problem saying no. Depending on your early conditioning or your lineage, some would feel quite uncomfortable saying no. It would feel too scary. It may result in a sick feeling in the chest or tension in the shoulders or the jaw. On the surface, someone might think, I don't want to disappoint the other person. Depending on the degree of disassociation, someone may not have the capacity to feel these things at all, so this dynamic is entirely unconscious. On deeper inspection, what becomes apparent is that difficulty saying no, which means being firm with a boundary we need for ourselves, or to be honest, not to lie to fear of hurting someone or any other situation that challenges our authenticity. It isn't actually fear of rocking the boat. The difficulty lies with our bandwidth for discomfort. Most people have an aversion to discomfort, and so they avoid things that create it. It's standing up for ourselves. The truth of being honest creates more discomfort than the nervous system has bandwidth for. We shut down quickly by shape-shifting, which means potentially lashing out or judging or criticizing. We opt out of authenticity. We avoid such discomfort unless we cultivate the muscle to work through it with tools such as meditation and breath work. We might think, I don't want to hurt that person. But that understanding is myopic. The fact is, we don't want to feel uncomfortable. The cultivation of the muscle to tolerate discomfort is experiential. It requires moving through the experience and at the same time learning we're entirely okay and safe while feeling that discomfort. The limited thought of, I feel discomfort, so I'm not okay, because I feel discomfort and I'm totally okay, safe and worthy of taking up all the space I need. Cultivating this muscle yields authenticity and vulnerability. In the words of Miles Davis, the great musician and trumpeter, it takes a long time to play like yourself. something we're always working on. So today I'm going to take these thoughts into prayer and into a brief implication for today. Knowing the presence of God is right here, all around us, in us, as us. I know that I am one with God, and as I am one, so I am one with all in attendance this morning and one with all the peoples of the world. I embrace love, I embrace the law, I embrace the knowing of the one source, that I am that image and likeness. So I speak my word for myself in this congregation, knowing that I am authentic, knowing that I am in the delight of the Lord, the one God. And I know today that as one and in all our relationships, in love and in thoughts and in that which we will do, is whole, perfect, and complete, right here, right now. I'm so grateful to be here present today. I'm grateful for Reverend Pam, for Diana on the audiovisual. I'm grateful to Penny and Shirley and others for the wonderful snacks and food that we have for our fellowship before our annual meeting. And I'm grateful knowing that our annual meeting will be conducted in love and peace and acceptance of all in their truth, in their authenticity, in the interactions that we will have. And I release my word into the law, knowing that it is already done right here, right now. And we say together, and so it is. Okay, and I will welcome back Rod for his a cappella.
Oh, Lordy. This is a wonderful song by Reverend Dr. David Ault, and it's about the journey that he took to where he's at today. These shoes have worn thin, and the dust that covers them gives a clue to where I've been. But now I've returned to a hope that nurtures me with love as remedy from all the miles of doubt and the shame that seemed unending. Now I'm awakening. I stand and sing. I return to the source of my creation, opening to my place of transformation. Now I see love lives in me. I return to the glory of our oneness, flourishing, fearless, free, and fully conscious, mightily. I stand and sing, I have returned. day after day. There are many paths to choose. On some we win, on some we lose. Still all lead to one. Where the hearts that tarry there believe in love beyond compare. And yes, I trust your embrace and give thanks for the journey here. Yes, I'm awakening. I stand and sing. I return to the source of my creation, opening to my place of transformation. Now I see love lives in me. I return to the glory of our oneness flourishing. Fear is free and fully conscious, mightily. I stand and sing, I have returned. I return to the source of my creation, opening to my place of transformation. Now I see love lives in me. I return to the glory of our oneness flourishing. Fearless, free, and fully conscious, mightily I stand and sing, I have returned. Oh, I have returned. How exciting.
That was awesome.
Oh, Lord.
And the song that Rod sang by David Ault. David Ault is an amazing man to sing his music. He started in New Thought back in the '80s with he was in a band called Alliance with Louise Hay, and they toured. They were his traveling, and they were really awesome. Jerry Florence was the head of that group, and he passed away from AIDS, and so, but there was amazing, and then he became a minister, and he's had this amazing stories about recovery from a heart defect, and had a great center, and now he works with children, orphans in Cambodia and several other countries. I mean, what a difference that man has made in the world, and you can hear it just from the words in that song. So thank you for that song, Rod. So that it's a day when there's a week when there's so many things to be amazed about. And recently I purchased a new smartwatch, and here's my new watch, and it's similar in size to my old watch, same brand, and I assumed that it would work pretty much the same way. Well, that was not it was only 3 years ago. And so aesthetically, the watch has been updated. It's pretty gold and case, and it's got this attractive digital face. And what I didn't expect is that the software and all the operating features had evolved so much. They've got a little bit of gold in the picture, and so I wanted to see how it works. So first thing, how do I charge it up? And so that was the easy part. And then I went to, and it doesn't have a slider on the side to make it do anything. So it was like, okay, how do I do this? So I said, all right, better download the manual on my computer. So I download the manual. And so it tells me how to pair the watch with my cell phone. Okay, can do that. And, but then as I went through and started scrolling through, there's all this kind of information that's on there. It's in different colors and words and little icons and numbers. And it was like, got to read this manual. The manual is 67 pages long for my watch. Okay, this is not going to be an easy 2-minute learn. This is like 2 hours or something or other, and probably definitely takes some time and effort. So with a sigh, I sat down to start reading through this manual. And so not only will my tiny little watch help me track my exercise and fitness stats, but it can provide notifications for alarms and for call and text and calendar and apps on my phone. And I just have to stay within 30 feet of my phone. I can even be in the next room and it still works. And my first reaction was, this is too much. I'm just going to shut off all those notifications. But then the possibilities said, kind of lured me to learn more. Maybe you could do something more. And I watched our bookkeeper. Her daughter calls her, and she talks to her on her phone. On her watch, not on her phone anymore. It was like, okay, this is a new world. I can catch up, or I can hang out in the past. So all of this is to say, there are other things that are a little bit more difficult to navigate than the watch, which is relationships. And that's what we're going to talk about today. To begin with, people are much more complex. Even as complex as this watch is, people are infinitely more complex, right? And it's too often we mistakenly assume that everyone else has the same identical values and functions and ways of doing things as we do. That is totally wrong, right? Even within our American culture, there's so many variations. And when you get into around the world and different possibilities, and it's just, one generation to the next, it just keeps changing. So when we encounter someone different than us, which is, probably all the people on the planet minus one, us, we react with frustration and resentment and even anger, because they don't respond to our words and needs and actions like we think they should, And we get really irritated when they don't honor our needs and wants. And we might not say anything, but then our anger can just keep growing and fester, as we get frustrated with them. And over time, we might get better at predicting how they're going to act, but, people just don't even stay the same. We don't stay the same. And so this whole thing evolves and grows just like the technology on my new watch. Right? So fortunately, people have a way that they can educate each other on how they function best. And so when we get clear on our boundaries, and when we share those boundaries with other people, we provide ourselves and them with a user manual, right? And so the user's manual, we can discover and share our boundaries and share them with others. And when we take that time and interest to learn about and honor other people's boundaries, that user manuals, then we can build bridges that create big, easily traveled pathways for healthy, happy, and long-lasting relationships. So let's open up those user manuals for our relationships and for our lives and cultivate authenticity and see how those boundaries build bridges. So I'm going to talk about 3 things today. How do we set our boundaries and write those manuals? Second, it requires vulnerability to practice courage and communicate those boundaries. And then third, why honoring those boundaries is an act of self-love. All right? So how do we set our boundaries and write those manuals? Well, first thing is we don't make up our boundaries. We don't go through a lot of hemming and hawing to figure out what our boundaries are. They really are there. They're part of our authentic self. And so we're discovering them and uncovering them for ourselves and then sharing them. We're discovering our authentic self, which is what we've been talking about all month. Brene Brown has her definition of authenticity is authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we are and who we think we're supposed to be, and embracing who we are. Right? So let me say that again. Authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are. Right? So we begin the month by focusing on the importance of know thyself. We talked about the trip up to in Delphi, up to the Temple of Apollo, and that was one of the words that was on the temple there as people were consulting the wisdom of the Sibyl there. And so we have to discover who we are before we can define our boundaries. Right? And Ernest Holmes talks about this as well. In this thing called You, he said, you need not ask what others have done or how they have done it. Be yourself and express life as you find it. Never imitate. Trust the self. Find the self in God and God in the self, because you are God expressing itself in and through and as you. Right? So boundaries are essentially where we end and the other begins. It's that clean transition. Nancy Levin has a book called Setting Boundaries Will Set You Free, and she defines boundaries as a limit that you set to define what you will or will not do, or what you will or will not accept or tolerate from others. If we desire to express ourselves authentically, then it is up to us to become familiar with and clarify these boundaries for ourselves and others. And having clarity about our boundaries empowers us to know what is ours to be and do in the world and what is not. Right? Now, there's many types of boundaries. They all clarify how we can best manage our time and energy. Other boundaries clarify how we protect and nurture our physical bodies, including our physical safety, very important one, right? How we sustain our mental and emotional well-being, right? And finally, we can set boundaries with our material possessions and what we choose to share and what we need to reserve for ourselves or for some other purpose, right? And now when someone crosses our boundaries without our consent, it doesn't feel good. It never feels good, really, right? And so let's consider what happens when we don't share our boundaries. Well, if we never push back on anyone and live as if we lack boundaries, we might feel like we're a doormat, right? We may think that we're being nice, we're being a good girl or a good boy, particularly if that's how we were raised to be. And we may think that, if I'm a good person, I'm going to take care of the people that I love, even if it's doing so would be at great expense to us or causes significant harm. Or maybe it would keep them from doing what they need to be a person in their own right? Or perhaps we feel that we are unworthy, right? That we don't deserve that space that we require. Our fear can keep us quietly serving as a doormat for whoever wants to take advantage of us, right? But if we let people think that we hold nothing sacred or that our sole purpose in living is to take care of them, well, they may well just take us up on that offer, and they'll keep taking and thinking that it's okay. It's been okay up this so far. Why, I like this deal. Let's keep going. And but if this continues, inside of our emotions of resentment, betrayal, and anger can continue to build, right? And particularly if the way that they're controlling us is, can be violent or emotionally abusive. I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen. So Brene Brown, in her book, The Gifts of Imperfection, it's a great book on setting boundaries and dealing with guilt and shame. Wonderful book. She says, when we fail to set boundaries and hold people accountable, we feel used and mistreated. This is why we sometimes attack who they are, which is far more hurtful than addressing a behavior or a choice, right? So when we get angry, rather than having this calm conversation of saying, this is the boundaries, this is the way I want you to treat me, we just kind of stuff it and stuff it and stuff it and stuff it, and then we blow up. And that is not very healthy for the relationship, right? So it's important then, how do we figure out what our boundaries are? Well, one way is to pay attention to our reactions. when something happens, right? When those feelings of anger and resentment start to arise, when we know that this just doesn't feel right, that helps us discover our boundaries, right? That we may not even have realized that it was something that was important to us, right? So if we don't know who we are, we need to first discover what our boundaries are. And if we don't do that, how can we expect anyone else to honor those boundaries if we don't even know what they are and we haven't shared with them? It's like trying to getting a game and not having any rules. Can you imagine playing Monopoly without any rules? And it would be pretty crazy. So what do we need to do? So if we want to be treated with the respect that we want and deserve, we need to communicate our boundaries clearly. Have you ever heard someone say, well, if you really love me, you would show it by, fill it in the blank. You've got an expectation, right? But what if that is unsaid? They expect us to do whatever it is they want us to do to prove that we love them, and we have not even a clue. Maybe it's a person that wants flowers on the anniversary. Maybe they want chocolate. Maybe they want to go to the symphony. Maybe they want to go to Paris. Maybe they just want to be left alone. We don't know unless they tell us, right? So it's unfair to expect others to read our mind. It's an assumption that everyone knows this about me because I'm just like everyone else. Well, first, you're not. And secondly, they can't read your mind, right? Their world and their boundaries are very different than ours. So we need to have this communication, right? And it's much better to communicate it when we're calm and clear than after things have gone askew, right? So just think how differently this story can turn out if we figure out what our boundaries and priorities are and communicate them to the other person in our lives. And this is the user manual for a healthy relationship with us. And hopefully the other person has a user manual that we can read to learn about them, right? Now, as an example, my parents were always really good savers, right? And so, raising kids and, trying to do all the things that you do, pay for the house and things, there was, only so much money. So they would save it up until whatever the next big thing is that they wanted, they would save up and, and weeks or months later, many months sometimes for big things, they would set up money from each paycheck to pay for important large ticket items. Well, one time they were saving money to build a new china storage cabinet, right? And my mother watched the funds accumulate with great anticipation. Oh, this is so wonderful. And she had, the wedding china that she wanted to put in the cabinet. This will be great. And then the car needed new tires. All right, so my dad, of course, he used the tires to buy the new tires and wiped out the savings, My mother felt like she didn't count, right? Now, of course, we did need new tires because that's important for safety for the whole family. And my dad explained, and sad and disappointed, but understanding, my mother reluctantly agreed, and safety came first. And so they started saving again for the china cabinet. And when it happened again, and the savings went sidetracked to fund some other important need, my mother finally got very angry, and that did not happen very often with my mother. And she really wanted that china cabinet to store that wedding china, which is really beautiful. And she would bring it out proudly when we would have, family events and whatever it was. And we needed some new glasses someplace to put them other than on the counter, or they were crammed somewhere. She was afraid they were going to get broken. So, when she got angry, my dad finally got it. All right. And so he understood why this was important to her, and she needed her turn. And this is what the big ticket item that she wanted. So however they did it, that time they bought the wood and my dad built the cabinet. All right. And so every time my mom would put things away after they all got washed, it just gave her so much joy and pleasure. And me, all the kids watching her, we saw this, and it was just a symbol of the love of my dad for my mom, because they had worked together, right? So it's something where, she had to blow up to do it, but it kind of laid the groundwork for them to have a more um, interactive relationship. And it's like they took turns from then on about what needed to be done, right? They learned to honor each other. Now, it requires vulnerability to practice courage and communicate, all right? And it's our responsibility to make sure that that user manual gives us an opportunity to practice courage and be vulnerable. When we share our boundaries, we are sharing our innermost self, our authentic self. And so it's very vulnerable to, it's like you've given somebody a manual about how to zing you right in the heart if they wanted to, right? So we have to trust people. There's some risk that's going to be there. And when we share our boundaries, hopefully people are going to be honoring us, but people won't always agree with us. Sometimes they might just ignore it. So there's always risk that's going on with all of this. And even worse, somebody could use that user's manual to hurt us, right? So how do we have that inner strength of being Brene Brown talks about having a strong spine and a soft front. So when you have a strong spine and you are strong in yourself, then you can have this give and take space with other people in front of you. So still, it comes back to the only way other people are going to know about you is and know your boundaries is if you tell them what they are and you share your user's boundary. Now, we really don't, when we're in relationship with someone else, we do not want to stumble upon a landmine that blows up when we're approaching them. We want to have a safe path. We want to have a map of what tells us where, if there are landmines, definitely avoid them. And if somebody's coming to us, we don't want them to step on our landmines either. So it's really important to share those boundaries, to create the bridges and the clear pathways to get together. And then we can decide to be brave and ask for what we need, right? If you never ask, you never receive. And so we need to be clear. Now, another example, last week my husband Michael and I, we ordered a new Jeep Wrangler for him. And so this shopping for that Wrangler had started at least 6 months ago? Year ago? Yeah, year ago. Okay. So Michael wanted a sporty car for his adventures with his e-bike and kayaking and off-roading and all the things that he loves doing here at Tahoe. This is his Tahoe car, and he has memories of another Jeep that they had in the past that he just loved that car, and one of his sons took it over, and I think it's been retired now. But so he was looking for this car, so I shared my criteria for the car. Okay, what was important to me in the car? Well, I wanted to feel safe when I was in the car, good mileage, and a car that is warm and dry in the winter. So a flimsy, essentially topless cover was not my idea of a safe car, right? This Jeep off-roading, it's like, well, that's one thing if you're going on vacation, you're off-roading, but if it's in the winter, the car might flip, this is not good. So Michael kept looking and looking, but then the miracle occurred. Jeep came out with a new plug-in hybrid. It met the mileage goal. Check. Exceeded it, in fact, right? And the new Wranglers, they have this safety cage that is built all over it, over the top. And so even if the cover's off, there's no way, unless you're 7 feet tall, that you're going to be harmed in that accident if it rolls. So safety, check, right? And they have a new option that we found out looking on the internet, and it was so new that even the salesperson wasn't fully aware of it. They have an option with 2 covers. So they have the removable soft top cover for the summer to keep you dry when it's raining in the summer. Take it off and you can be, out there in the wind and the sun and everything and fit all of your kayak and whatever it is in there easily. And there's a second solid waterproof cover, much like a truck camper shell that goes on the back with windows, and it keeps you warm and dry in the winter. Perfect for winter in Tahoe. Check. So, and the last feature, they have a new color. It's firecracker red, Michael's favorite color. Check. All right. So we had found a car that met both of our boundaries, our design criteria, including that my husband is going to love his new car, which makes him and me very happy. Right? So that is as soon as it arrives in about 4 months, maybe. There's a chip shortage and a shipping problem, and but it's on its way. It's we signed up. So, but I bring this example up because I had to risk making him mad when I stood my ground, and I knew it would be possible to meet my clear and reasonable requests. I didn't change my criteria. I just said these are my criteria, and so Michael, now that we've found, just like my parents, we've found this middle ground that everyone is happy. We know it's possible, and he has faith that his boundaries will be respected as well, right? So it's really wonderful for a marriage when you can do that together, right? And so communicating our boundaries, it may feel difficult and scary, but like any skill, the more you do it, the easier it gets, and the better we get at it, right? So but what I want to bring here at the end is why honoring our boundaries is an act of self-love. So in this thing called you, Ernest Holmes, he says, you rob no person when you discover your own good. You limit no person when you express a great degree of livingness. You hinder no person's evolution when you consciously enter into the kingdom of your good and possess it today. Right? So we are each a unique expression of the divine. And so it's like all the colors of the rainbow. The red doesn't take away from the green or the blue or the yellow. They're all needed to be a part of that rainbow. We are each needed to be our unique person that's a part of the world. And so knowing what our values are and our limits empowers us to live in alignment with our authentic self and who we are. It helps us say yes to our yeses and no to our nos, right? And as we live out loud in the world, our theme for the whole year, it is up to us to honor our authentic self by clarifying our boundaries with others. So when we say yes, when we mean no, we compromise our comfort or our own essential life goals in order to please someone, right? Or if we give in to something that we don't want, we are just disrespecting our authentic self. In many situations, it is we that are the ones that are crossing our own boundaries and self-sabotaging ourselves. If we want to change a habit and we don't honor that decision, then we're not honoring ourselves. Now, in the reading Michael shared with us this morning from Molly Kate Brown, she described the real discomfort we sometimes feel when we say no. No, it can just feel scary, right? And our body may tense up, or maybe we feel sick in our stomach, or there's some way that we're going to get this feedback that this just does not feel right. I'm saying yes, but I really want to say no, right? And we know that, And a nagging internal voice may whine, I just don't want to disappoint this person, right? Or I'm a loving wife, or I'm a loving husband, or a loving mother or father, and I would say yes when I really want to say no, but I love them, and that's what I'm supposed to do, right? And the feeling of discomfort is really real, but it's also something that we can learn to tolerate if we choose to live authentically. Now, we don't want to just say no and just give someone the silent treatment, give them no explanation whatsoever, and just vanish into the sunset. So, I don't want to see you anymore. They call that ghosting. That's a big thing in dating these days. But it can also happen in families and whatever. So it's really rather an abusive way to set your boundaries, because the other person has not a clue what went wrong. They hit a landmine and they have no idea. Did I do something wrong? Did you do something wrong? Did you die? What happened? Are you on down the side of a cliff? You need me to come rescue you? I don't know where to go. So it's a really difficult feeling of discomfort. But coming back to the normal way of we're saying no and still communicating, when we learn to say to ourselves, that I feel discomfort and I am totally okay, safe, and worthy of taking up all the space I need. Okay, so we need to have that confidence that if that is what our authentic self is saying, then we need to honor that. But we also need to build up our muscle to live out loud with authenticity and vulnerability. And we also need to perhaps go through the discomfort of saying no and having the conversation of what the boundaries are. You know, if we're going to have an ongoing relationship with somebody, or we want that opportunity to have that, we want to have that difficult conversation. But that is the possibilities of, of having clear rules, of working together and doing things in a way that's cooperative and knowing that we're each a part of the one life that is God, the oneness that Rod was singing about in the song, that we are one and that we need each other. And honoring our boundaries is self-love, and that is the true love of other people. So, in conclusion, as we discover our authentic self, we also discover our boundaries. And when we share our boundaries with others, we teach them how to be with us in mutually supportive and respectful ways. We give up the fantasy that other people can know what we want without us having to say a thing. Right? And when we share our boundaries, we are giving others a user manual that invites them to understand us better and to follow a pathway to our heart. Right? A way they can love us best. And when our boundaries get crossed, we also have a bridge that we've built from this relationship that can support the heart-to-heart conversations for reconciliation. You know, when we step off, we know that each other, we're really trying to honor each other's boundaries. And when something we get off track, well, that's not the intention. And so we have the bridge is still there to have that heartfelt communication and really understand and have clarify the boundaries and move to the future. Living authentically, it takes practice. And when we find ourselves and others being perfectly imperfect, as all humans are, we can forgive and begin again. So honoring our boundaries is an act of self-love. And this is how we live out loud. Let's take this to prayer. Oops. And so in this stillness, in this calm, we allow ourselves to move to the center of our being, to a center of the universe, as Khalil Gibran would say. We are a center of the oneness of the divine. We are whole and perfect and complete. We are a divine creation, just perfectly created to be who we uniquely are. And as we express ourselves out in the world, we strive to do it from our authentic self as we truly are. We don't need to imitate others, and so we learn who we are. We discover that and express it, and we find out what is the best way to operate this. Do we need to run on supreme or regular gas? What is the best way? What is the best way to approach us? What is it that supports us? What is that we need? And so we share those boundaries with the world. And we stand in our strength, knowing that we deserve exactly what it is that supports us the best. Just as we would give our children exactly what they need to flourish, we give ourselves exactly what we need to flourish and be all that we were created to be. And as we share these boundaries with others, we extend to others that opportunity to share their boundaries with us. And we listen without expecting them to be just like us, but expecting them to be themselves and being grateful for that user's manual that when it's given to us, and we can exchange it as we give one to others. And as we learn to do this, there is this learning curve of being in discomfort. But then there is the joy and the wonder of finding we are on solid ground and the relationships become stronger and healthier and longer lasting, and they are really resilient in supporting each other to be more than we can be alone. This is the beauty and wonder of living as our authentic self, of living out loud, of sharing our gifts with the world and with each other. I am so grateful to know this truth, to be here in this Center for Spiritual Living, Tahoe-Truckee, where we have this opportunity to understand this and learn it and practice it, being perfectly imperfect. And together we grow in joy and wonder and love and wisdom, divine wisdom. This is the truth of who we are. This is the truth of our experience right here and right now. And with gratitude beyond measure, we say, thank you, Father, Mother, God. Thank you, Spirit. And together we say, and so it is.
It is.
All right. So I would like to invite Rod Loomis back for one more of his wonderful songs.
Oh, what a morning. What a morning. Okay, this is a nice ending to the service. All is well, Eddie Watkins Jr. And at the end, I'm going to invite you to sing a couple lines with me, sort of as an affirmation. Okay, can I have that agreement? All right, here we go, folks. I'm not worried about tomorrow. Today I declare freedom from yesterday and mistakes of the past like this morning. Today all things are made brand new, and don't it feel good to know that all is well? Woo, woo. Unfolding as it should. I can change my reality by changing my mind. Perfect peace, joy, and happiness is yours and it's mine. I am loved and so are you. And don't it feel good to know that all is well? Okay. All is well. All is well. Divine Spirit is directing me right now. All is well. All is well. All is well and unfolding as it should. Now listen, I am cloaked in the Spirit. I am fed by the divine. I am one with all there is. My soul is free from time. I am blessed, and so are you. Don't it feel good to know that all is, sing this with me, all is well again. Mean it is well. All is well. All is well. All is well and unfolding as it should. Oh, God. Oh, gosh.
Self. Enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you. It's a great example. All right. If he can do it, we can do it. Right? All right. So, well, this brings us to our prosperity time. And here at the Center for Spiritual Living Tahoe-Truckee, we know that God is our infinite source for our center and for each of us as individuals. And so if you were inspired by today's service or by our center, please consider sharing your abundance with our spiritual community. Donations of your time, talent, and treasure to our center support our vision of embracing all and serving with love while awakening to the one. And there's lots of different ways you can donate that you'll see on the screen. And we have, you can send checks and use online bill pay. We've got PayPal set up if you want to use a credit card or PayPal, and we've got a Venmo now. So any way you want to do it, we're ready. So if you would please hold your offering and your intention over your heart and repeat with me on our next screen. In everything I give thanks. I gratefully and joyfully share my offering, which flows from God, my infinite source. My gift blesses this center and all who are guided, healed, and empowered by its activities. And so it is. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. And so we give thanks for these gifts that have been so generously and lovingly shared with our center. We are grateful for the support that comes from God, our infinite source, full to overflowing to support us in all that we need and all that we share with the world. Life is good. Thank you, Father, Mother, God. And so it is. Okay, well, I want to thank Kimberly for visiting here. And we have, there is a welcome form that you can fill out. We have a visitor's log you can fill it out. There's a magazine and some information about the center. And if you would like to be on our newsletter mailing list, there's a form over there you can fill out and put in there. It's alongside by the prayer box. If you have a prayer request, you can put it in there as well. But we're really grateful to have you here. And I don't know if we have anybody new online today, but you can also go on the website and sign up for our newsletter and or leave us a word in the chat. We can know a little bit more about you. We're really glad to have you here. In our announcements today, well, first I want to thank some people that were here this morning. So we had, for the Zoom hosting, Ms. Diana Misets is here, our practitioner, Michael Brandman, our musician, Rod Loomis, real champion this morning. Hospitality, I want to thank Penny Schroller and Shirley Nelson, anyone that's brought anything for our potluck afterwards. If you guys are at home and your potluck is going to be your choice, but be back online at noon for our annual meeting, which is everybody's welcome to come. Only the members can vote, but we're glad to share everybody and let you know about our plans for 2023. You know, what were the successes in 2022, what our budget and strategic plan are. So we'll be also electing some new board members. So please join us for that today. And the Zoom link will be the same that we use for the Sunday service. So don't get. So I don't know. What do we think? Well, we'll have to check the weather. We will see what, Michael, maybe you can check and see whether it's supposed to turn into rain. If it turns into rain, we can stay, and if it's going to turn into a blizzard, we might want to go home and everybody Zoom. So we'll see, right? Okay, but at noon is when we're going to start. Now, next Sunday, this is our annual meeting today, and next Sunday, we have a guest speaker, Reverend Dr. Patrick Harbula, and he's going to be speaking on radical gratitude and an entrance into the sacred. And he's an amazing man. I've known him he's been in 35 years. He's been in New Thought and is a leader, a coach, an author. He was actually head of a Sage Publications, which is a science publication that got taken over by Tarcher Press a while ago. But he wrote this great book called The Magic of the Soul, applying spiritual power to daily living and meditation. And it really takes a lot of the science of mind philosophy ideas and puts it into kind of some of the everyday language so we can apply it into our lives. And it's really an inspiring, wonderful book. And so there's a class that he's created, a 6-week class, and I'll be teaching that class starting on Tuesday the 28th in the evening. But he's going to give us an introduction to that. And radical gratitude is one of the things that he's that comes out of that book and his spiritual practice over the years. So and he's very entertaining. You'll really like hearing him. He's going to be with us on Zoom, but when we have the class, he's going to teach the 4th week of the class. So that'll be good. And let's see. And Dr. Patrick has been on Inside Edition, ABC, NBC, UPN News, just lots of places, really well recognized. And the practitioner next weekend will be Nancy O'Neill. She'll have the practitioner meditation at 9:25, and then Love Eternal will be our musicians next Sunday. So great Sunday. You can find always information about our spiritual center and our activities on our website. And video recordings of our Sunday services are there. And we've just added some meditations that are there. So you can also, if you want to just have the meditation part of the service, or some of the ones that are recorded by the practitioners, you can have that online too, or just hear the talk or the whole service. And we've got 2 years, I think, online now. So you can go back and listen to all kinds of stuff. The Red Tent is meeting this week, and it's Tuesday evening, the 21st. 6:30 to 8:30. This is a sacred gathering for women, so bring a potluck dish to share. There's rituals and deep sharing, and so it's at the Lake Tahoe Wellness Center, and so it's led by Jackie and her friend Marika, and so that's a wonderful time. Quite a few of us have gone to that. We have the Journey of the Soul class that I'll be teaching, and this class it's $195. It's a certificated class, but we do have scholarships, payments available if we don't want lack of funds to be the reason you don't take the class. It's a wonderful class, and I don't want anyone to miss it. But we do want people to register in advance, so we make sure that we've got the books and the workbooks ready for everybody. And you could take it either in person or online. Now, another fun thing that we've got coming up is the spring is coming and the snow really will end. And so we're going to check out Ananda. They're at a little bit lower elevation, and they have their annual Tulip Festival. So we're planning to go as a center, as a whole group. We're going to go on August 17th, and we will, we're going to go in April. The tulips will be gone by August. No. So, I even wrote it in here wrong. Okay. April. Anyway, we're going to meet here. It's a Monday morning. We're going to meet here at 10 o'clock, and then we're going to carpool up there. So, and you have to pay in advance to go to go. So we're asking everybody to go online to crystalhermitage.org and register for the 145 tour. They have 35 spots that however many we can sign up for. And then there's a vegan lunch or vegetarian at 12:30. So that's what we're going to go up together. We should be back here about 6 o'clock if you want to plan your day. But it should be a wonderful day. The tulips, there are 19,000 tulips that they plant. And so it's just an amazing array, and it's a beautiful place. And we're going to meet here. We're going to meet here at 10 o'clock, and then we'll fill up the cars and carpool up together. So that'll be fun to spend the day together and enjoy the beauty. And I mean, it's a beautiful drive anyway, just for the presence of spirit at Ananda. If you've been there, you know how wonderful it is, why we go back for our retreat every year. Okay, and we are having our retreat in the fall, September 8th through the 10th. Oh, this is at Asilomar. The CSL movement-wide summer convention is in August at Asilomar, and so you can register for that. Registration information will be coming up soon. And then our retreat is at Ananda, September 8th through the 10th, and Melissa and Z will be our facilitators. So, and we'll be having that registration information come out soon too. All right. We also have our ongoing drop-in classes that are always here. On Thursday we have Tai Chi at 3:30, meditation, which has the energization at 4:30 and meditation at 5, and that is with Mary McEnany in the Ananda style with meditation. And then Friday, our Course of Love class. They were on vacation last week when Sue was in Paris, but she's back, and so they'll be meeting again. And all of these are online, so you can drop in, and it's we have lots of things going on to support you. Our children, we'd like to welcome our children, and online. I think there's usually at least one. Yep, we have at least one or two online. So, all right, and so we're gonna. If you would join me in our blessing for the children, we see you, we hear you, we love you. You are a gift from God, and so it is. All right, and I also want to mention our practitioners. They are professionally trained and licensed as a practitioner. It takes at least 4 years to become a practitioner or training. And we know we have spiritual mind treatment in Science of Mind, where it's a kind of a scientific way of combining science and the laws of manifestation with prayer. And so we know that prayer works. It makes a difference in people's lives. And so if you would have something that's come up in your life, please meet with the practitioner. They'll do a 5-minute miracle for you after the service, or you can meet with them for a longer time. And the list of practitioners' names are here on by the prayer box, and you can put a prayer request in. And the practitioners here today, Michael Brandman was the practitioner of the day, and I'm a practitioner as well. And then online we have, I think, Carol and Nancy, and Brenda. Brenda's online too. Okay. Yeah, Brenda would have been here today, but it's too snowy for her to get up here from Carson City. So, okay, we're going to have our closing song followed by our affirmation. And if you would please stand, and all right. Yeah, this is the last time.
All together, hand in hand, we see the light and take a stand, and we are changing. A whole new life for you and me. Take your past and set it free. Share this blessing. Love be with you. Peace enfold you. Spirit lift you. Breathe it in. Truth come through you, make good flow to you. Let joy renew you till we meet again. All together, hand in hand, we see the light, we take a stand, and we are changing. A whole new life for you and me. Take your past and set it free. Share this blessing. Love be with you, peace enfold you, spirit lift you, breathe in.
Truth come through you. Okay. All right. If you would join me in our affirmation. Sharing my boundaries builds bridges to authentically connect with others. And so it is. Thank you all. Namaste. Time to eat. I think we'll be fine. It's not really sticking on the roads. Oh.
Okay. It's not too cold.
Okay.